to work even smoother. So when I discovered DCPI for ourselves, I didn't want it. I had so many church planting trainings before. I trained church planting now. I have planted several churches, so I thought I knew. And honestly, when I did my first DCPI training, I discovered they say the same thing that I said all the time. Yeah. Well, this is not a difference. So it's not different than the other ones. But the good thing is there are some advantages in it. It's the system. It's the diverse languages, over 60 languages. Yeah, that you can. It's for free. Yeah, with a good quality support, and really to look into this. What are the tools? So you see, for example, here. I don't know if you know this. So we have done trainings in 36 European nations. Everywhere where there's a yellow spot, DCPI training was done the last years. Yeah. So in nearly every nation. In nearly every nation. I just did a mentors training online. Yeah. We had guys from the UK, as Ant. We had a guy from Moscow. Yeah, Guy. We had a guy from South Africa. You think, this is fun. Yeah, we did a training at Ivy Church, and you said to me last time, hey, did we tell you the result of this training? We launched 12 new micro-churches. And I said, come on, this is fun. Love it. Yeah. So this is just a tool. Yeah. So in one case, it's for mentoring, to help develop a mentoring training. For others, it's micro-church planting, and so on, because we have the diverse trainings. So we don't only have the 36 nations, but also we have trainers. We have in total 314 trainers in Europe. So some are active, some are not active. One of my new jobs is now to reactivate the max. So some they did certifications several years ago, and we haven't heard anything about them because it's a question of follow-up and so. And I just want to wake them up all. Yeah, but you see, in all these nations, there are trainers, certified trainers. Some are master trainers, so even more responsibilities. But in the end, there's hardly any nation where there's no trainer. Yeah, so which means today there is a network, without being a network, a group of people who know the tool and can help churches to use the tool and to develop their own system. Yeah, all over Europe. All over Europe, and this dream, and that's why I like to meditate on this dream of this wave of church planting as a people's movement. It's possible because great men and women did an incredible work before. Yeah, trained so many people and so much fruit out of this. So we are in the most European countries. And there's a growth path in this. And I want to share this a bit with you as a vision pipeline. And we call it the pipeline for multiplication within DCPI. Not just doing a training, but the question to you is, do you want to be an influencer of your region, of your city, of your nation? Do you see more than the one church? Do you see a movement coming out of you? When Bridget and I, we got together in 1986, many years ago, I fell in love with this wonderful woman who very soon after our meeting had to tell me one thing: I can't have children. She has the certificate of the very famous hospital in Germany, 99%, no chance. She was violated regular when she was young, and everything was destroyed. We didn't have any chance to have children. So suddenly she was pregnant. Something went different than I thought. Because I believe that our God is a God of multiplication. Yes. And out of this woman who can't have any children, 5 came out. And out of this, 14 grandchildren. So, yeah, it's great, huh? So suddenly our family, we are 26. And I already counted by a growth rate of 2.7 in the moment, what will be the next generation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So as we are young enough, normally should work. So we want to see multiplication. And the first step is all the time training people. Yeah, we go into the trainings a bit later. But then also to think about next step, to become a certified trainer. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, calling some planners to become a certified trainer. So you might have done a training. Some of you are certified trainers. Some say, hey, I would like to do it. I would like to do it. So my vision, for example, for the nations, UK, starting here, is to create a national core team. So what does it mean? So it is, you are different movements here. We just started this in France. In France, DCPI is trained in the moment in 6 different denominations. Yeah? And so in every denomination, there is a reference person who's a master trainer. And there's one thing. I don't know if, like Ant, you're from the AUG, I don't know if you fully agree with the theology of Rima. But it's no problem, because Rima has its theology, and they have their master trainer, and they have the system within Rima. So they train Rima. You can invite them, but you don't have to invite them, because you can do in the AUG your own system, and so on, because it's only a tool. It's not a network. It's only a tool. And so what we did, we called 6 reference people of the 6 denominations in France, together with one national coordinator, and they become suddenly the national core team. And they meet once a year for 24 hours. We just meet once a year. We just met near Geneva. Nice spot. Had a wonderful sit in the garden, having barbecue, and sharing our experience of church planting within our different movements, and how we can get into others and just help them to multiply. It's so rich. So most of the movements don't want to have too many teachings from outside. And that's okay, because we don't bring a theology, we just bring a tool. And you can have your own system. And my dream for the UK is to get as many movements and networks together that they point one leader, one coordinator, one reference person, however you call it, yeah, coming together once a year, but they develop their own system, helping them that their movement will be a multiplying movement. This is my dream. So for this we need the certified trainers, yeah, and then the reference person should be a master trainer. A master trainer is allowed to certify trainers. So you don't need anyone else. No, Björn doesn't have to come to certify a trainer within your movement. You have your master trainer within your movement, and you create your system. When I discovered DCPI, this was for me the point. It wasn't necessarily the teaching itself. I saw the system, so simple. So what I did, very fast, I became a master trainer within DCPI, and I certified 13 of our leaders of our church to become trainers. So in the last, I will tell this in a minute, but in the last years, we have trained hundreds of church planters around the world as a church. Incredible, yeah, because of a simple tool, yeah. And then senior master trainer, this is not necessary, honestly. You can become, so it's something to find out case by case. For example, if your movement is so big that you need several master trainers and you need a person to certify the master trainers, you need a senior master trainer, yeah. Can be, doesn't have to be, but just to give you an idea. And I want to finish this part now, before we get into roundtable thinking, with 2 stories. Let's just get the next one. Oh, sorry, the tool, sorry, forgot this one. Yeah, are you familiar? For those who are not familiar, just explain you what are these trainings, okay? You see already it's written down for which type of context this is. So the church planting essentials is for launch teams. If you plant a new church, and you have already a small group. So every time when we start a new church, we start with a small group. This small group does CPE, so that they understand the essentials. Then on the same time, the mother church, so the third on our line, churches planting churches. The mother church does the CPC. Why this? Because the result, for those who did the training already, you know that the result is a VPT, vision, plan, timeline, the planned approach. But the plan for the mother church is different than the plan for the launch church, for the launch team. Okay, so that everyone understands exactly his role and it's clearly defined, and then both can put their timelines even together to adjust them according to the phase they're in. Number 2, church planting discipleship. I don't like this title, friends. Everywhere in the world we call it house church training. So in Europe, house churches has not a very good, in the most nations it's not very well seen, because of different contexts. So I'm trying just in the moment to encourage DCPI to transform the name again in microchurch, group and microchurch training, yeah, because it's not about discipleship in this training. It's about group multiplication in the end, okay? That's why I said for microchurches or groups. Mentoring church planters is for mentors. If you have several churches, leaders you're looking for, and you want to help them, this was my first training actually at DCPI. And I think it's a good training. Actually, in our church, all our leaders do the MCP training because it's a general good mentoring training, not only for church planters. Healthy church dynamics, for those who are familiar with DCPI, was called, until now was NCD, Natural Church Dynamics. Natural? natural church dynamics, yeah? We change it in healthy church dynamics because it's about systems. It's for churches who perhaps haven't thought yet about church planting, but it's about church health. So we check the different systems: discipleship system, a pastoral system, but also multiplication system. And often churches then discover, oh, we don't have a multiplication system. Yeah? What about thinking about multiplication? Yeah? So they first get all the other systems in place so that they can multiply, but then think also about church multiplication. Next Gen Challenge. This is a challenge I launched to you. Who knows Next Gen Challenge training? One. Okay, Next Gen Challenge is really a training for teenagers and youth to be involved and have their own project of helping church planting. It started well, and honestly, it calmed down in Europe. And so I'm just relaunching this, creating a system where I've tried to find churches. So if ever you might be such a church, I need 4 people in every church, 2 adults and 2 teenagers. Teenagers 15 or 16. The teenagers should be the trainers. The adults are only there to mentor them, because teenagers speak to teenagers. And so we do this just in France. We have first 3 churches. We relaunched this in Norway in this way. We're just looking for churches in Germany. If you are a church, say, this is interesting, I would like to do this, then we would get you in contact with our Next Gen coordinator, yeah, so that we get an example into this. Yeah. Just by the way, our teenagers can become certified trainers only for Next Gen. It's the same system of certification, but then they're only recognized Next Gen trainer, so that really youth speaks to youth, yeah, so that they speak their language. Number 7 here is church planting movements. It's the training of how to become a movement, and the last one, how to become a trainer. The Next Gen Challenge and the CPD is a 1-day training, or I think it's 2 or 3 sessions online. The trainer certification is a 3 hours online in general, not more. Okay, just to give you this idea. Okay, now the next one, trainings. For those who don't know this, you can do this in-person training. Then on the other side, the webinar training. I'm a fan of the webinar training. I'm honest. There's less contact for sure, but you've got much more time to reflect on the project you have. And the result is really good. I really like it. While the in-person training is often just a day or 3 days, you don't have so much time of reflection, so you only touch the subject. Yeah, so DCPI Academy is quite new. This is video. This video, you can sign into the academy, but then you have you watch the video and you have a coaching group after to see, after every video sessions, what have you decided to do out of the presentation of the EPT. I honestly, in terms of quality, I think Academy is great for places where there is no internet. Africa is great. If you have some, I don't know, places in the UK, yeah, it's much better when you have something interactive the whole time. This would be my advice. Okay, next one. Okay, now 2 stories before I pass on. I'm a bit over time, sorry for this. I want just 2 stories where we have European stories of success in the moment. The BFP is the German Pentecostal movement. You can just follow the next steps on the slide. Yeah. So and another one. So another 2, I think. The system is very simple. As a Pentecostal movement in Germany, we decided no church planting without a CPE training. Yeah. So all our church planters in Germany or in the world have to do a CPE training. And what we discovered out of this, a culture appeared. Because everyone in our denomination now speaks the same language. When I go to a church and I say, which phase are you? Because there are 4 phases in DCPI, they give you the answer. They know what you speak about. Yeah? And so something which we haven't foreseen in the beginning was suddenly the result. And within the last 10 years, the German Pentecostal movement planted 200 churches. Yeah? It's probably the most thriving church planting movement in the moment in Western Europe. And so really it works. It really works. Yeah? So we train our within the denomination, within the movement. We certify our trainers. And so what I told you, the system of the master trainer, the trainers, we have this even regionalized now. Yeah? So the whole church planting department is really entirely worked with the DCPI. Okay, next one. And here you see, so there was 178, but we are just 200. We will celebrate in September the 200 churches planted. Okay, now the second story is our personal church story. So what we do, also go just through, every small group leader in our church has to do the microchurch training, because so he learns how to multiply his small group. It's not just a discipleship group, it's also a missional group. Yeah? So they understand, it's in this training is about defining your target group, how you will evangelize them, how you will integrate them and make them disciples, and how to relaunch the next group. Everyone learns in these groups how to share his personal testimony and how to share the gospel. Very simple, very shortly said, simple training. Okay. Then every year, all our youth, they're trained in the Next Gen Challenge, because the result of the Next Gen Challenge is their next training program, their next project. Yeah. So we have all the time in our church, all 3 years, every campus has to start a new church. Intentional. Not on accident. We're not waiting that we are some bigger. So we just closed one campus down. But before this campus died, he has planted another campus which works great. From time to time, you might have children which die. But in the end, you will have more children by regular multiplication than if you would never start. So it was painful to close this one campus down. But there is fruit. A campus which works great. And I'm pretty sure that we get back into the city where we just closed down. It's intentional. Yeah? So we started with all 5 years, and how do we decide 3 or 5 years? We just take the national average. I went to Kosovo, they say 15 years. Okay, 15 years, whatever. Yeah? Whatever you say, find your national average. I say all the time, we're not better than the others. We did 5 years, then we discovered we can do it in 3 years. For us, 3 years means 0 to 50. 0 to 50. And if the 3 years take 4 years, no problem. But we're intentional on this. Yeah? So really multiply. And so that's really worked great. And so why we do this, every time, even if the mother church has already done a CPC, they redo it because there will be a new plan. It's a different church plant now. It's a different context. Yeah? Might be even different people who will be behind the church planting, the team really helping them. So we just redo it. Yeah? And the result is a multiplication culture. Yeah? So when you come into our church, everyone thinks multiplication without letting go discipleship and training, for example. In many churches, you find when they're too evangelistic orientated, they are not strong in training often. And the question, as some of you might know from the training of DCPI, is balance in this, between mission and training. Yeah? And so we discovered that this culture actually brought us to the point. And so here you see our numbers in 2016. So we 7 years ago, we were a church of 120 members in the inner city of Marseille. And 7 years later, we have 4 established campuses. We just planned 5. I think the 6th is just joining. And we have trained hundreds of church planters with the system I told you all over the nations. It's crazy. It's really good. If you would have asked me one day, Björn, you will have an influence through your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And so I would have never said yes to that. I wouldn't believe this. Yeah? But why this? Because it's not a network. It's just a simple tool. I don't take responsibility for this. I just help others to be successful. You want to drill a hole, I've got a good drill. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. Yeah? And so that's why we can even support each other. We can grow into this. And so this is a bit, perhaps do you have some questions to this before we go into a round table now? I'm really on time, wonderful. Any questions to this? We're going to any groups? No? Okay. Then I would say, let's take a time. So round table, the idea is that we take a time sharing, speaking on our tables on about the subject, around 20 minutes. Yeah. And I ask you on every table to have one person taking the notes, okay, and present after the 20 minutes for up to 10 minutes your results. Yeah. And it would be great if you just write it down so in a way that we can have it after. We can bring it all together, the result of every group, which we can then share with all of you in a mail, which might be just an inspiration for you, a thought you want to meditate. I know from this type of meetings, often these are just simple phrases, not total ideas, but these simple words create in me like a film, inspirational film. Yeah, and I want to get deeper into this. Yeah, and then let's take this time, and after we finish with a short time of prayer for each other. Is it okay? Yeah. So The question I would like, perhaps you can write it down, how do you go from multiplying yourself to multiplying multipliers? How do you go from multiplying yourself to multiplying multipliers? So do you have already a system? Do you have an idea, but not yet the system, proven system? Or you're just desperate and you have no idea? Whatever, let's just be totally honest. Yeah, share about this, and let's learn from each other. Okay, 20 minutes. Let's go for it. Okay, friends, 20 minutes are off. Hope you had a great time. We had a great time at our table. And I hope you have appointed your spokesperson on every table. Who is this here? Can we listen to table number 1? Wonderful results and
Okay, this is Northern Ireland reporting. No, it's a team effort. Okay, so what we talked about was how do you multiply yourselves to multiply in others. So first of all, we decided teams, and it's important to have a team around you, delegating that training. We've all different personalities, and this is where we learn and develop. You multiply within the team that you are within. And Claire came up with a very valid point. She said, you watch me first, and you can correct me if I say this wrong, watch me to see how I do it, and then let people come alongside you while you do it. It's important to share the heart and the vision. And also, we looked at hand-picking people to be on this team, to allow people to grow and create this culture that this is what we're going to be doing and this is how we're going to do it, and come follow me. And basically, this is how we do it. You follow along, and this is the process that we take. Then we have to be intentional, which is what you already spoke about. Plus, we brought in then processes. It's important to be listening to others as they have the answers as well. We just don't have the answer ourselves, but others have answers. So it's setting up processes to involve everyone's ideas, which is important. We have to be flexible. We've always done it this way, it doesn't work. We have to be organic, we have to be growing within that. Training people is so important. Casting the vision, talking about it constantly, and especially with new people that come to church. You know, this is the toolbox that we use to multiply, so get them into that way of talking. Everybody's called to multiply, and we have to equip them to multiply. And it's important to celebrate growth whenever we see growth in areas. It's important to do that. Every church needs a toolbox, and each toolbox will be different, but this is how we do it for this particular church. And then empowering others is key as well to seeing how we multiply.
I might have been volunteered for this. All right. Okay, so we had a wide-ranging and entertaining conversation, and we got some quotes. So I hope you've got your pens ready to write down the quotes that came out of the table. I won't attribute them to individuals. I'll just claim them for myself. But Ben started with actually a really interesting sort of example from their experience about how the people that you want to be multipliers really struggle to be multipliers because they don't want to delegate. It was kind of what I think you said. Because they know they can do it themselves. They know they can do it well themselves. And therefore, they struggle to let go and actually take that step back from doing or from management and step into the sort of leadership role. And that kind of sparked a really interesting conversation. You know, they're often great servants, which is why you trust them, but they really struggle to become multipliers. And I think probably for any leader, that's a step that we've all had to take at some point. We had a bit of a conversation about multiple generation leadership and how you really land the third generation and beyond, being actually really tricky, and very few biblical examples that we could come up with of people that had got beyond the third generation of successful leadership. So how do you really think about getting that third generation enabled and equipped in an appropriate way? And the idea of actually perhaps the grandparent being the one that is the one rather than the parent to take them further, which was something really interesting. Right, and the first quote you need to write down is, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. Got you there, didn't we? Yeah, if something's worth doing well, it's worth doing. If something's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And what that provoked a really interesting conversation. But what essentially it was we all think we can. I'll use the example that was used on the table. I think I'm the best preacher in my church. Maybe I am. I'm the pastor. But if I want someone else to be, if I want to raise someone else up as a pastor or as a preacher or a teacher, I'm going to have to let them preach or teach. And maybe they aren't as good as me. And they're never going to be if I don't let them get behind the pulpit. And I'm going to have to accept that they might not do it as well as I do. But that's the price of helping someone else become a great preacher, right? We all got that opportunity. So they might do it badly. They might not do it great. You might have to correct them. You might have to correct doctrine. You might have to correct practice or whatever. But you need to let them get up there and have a go at doing it. I personally have a kind of a rule, 80-20 kind of rule. The last 20% of doing anything is normally diminishing returns. If I can get it to 80%, that's good enough. Let's move on to the next thing, and that's hard for a perfectionist to grasp. But actually, it gets a lot more done a lot quicker. The next great quote, right? Groups learn quicker than individuals. Groups learn quicker than individuals, and we talked about actually how you can't expect your multipliers to be identical to you. They've got to be different. You can't replicate fully grown adults, and so don't even try. Rather multiply simple things that can grow and become who they're meant to be. And when you do that, teams and groups will multiply or grow and learn quicker than trying to do it as an individual, because you learn as a group rather than as a team. And perhaps your role starts becoming more of a coach to that team than a more directorial manager. Challenge, I can't remember who came out with it, but what are the things that I need to do now, this is the way I wrote it down, so that the team is ready to stand on its own in a certain number of months' time, 6 months' time. Actually, if I want this team to stand on its own in 6 months' time, I can't let go of the team in 6 months' time. I've got to start letting go now. I've got to start giving them things now. I've got to start helping them, coaching them, whatever it is, now, so that in 6 months' time, they're ready. We talked a little bit about blame culture. Actually, you've got to allow other people to make mistakes. People aren't going to learn and grow and multiply if they aren't allowed to make mistakes, and that's the opportunity to learn and grow and coach them on the way. Next great quote, embedding the multiplication mindset early on is critical. So if you're planting a church, get that multiplication mindset in early. We are going to plant another church. We are going to raise up leaders. You're the servants of today. You're the leaders of tomorrow. That mindset, get it into people's minds early, thinking forward, envisioning that multiplication, getting the culture of multiplication into the organization, get the vision there. People know we're going to be doing more. And then final great quote, every new church should be envisioning the next plant. Every new church should be envisioning the next plant. So you might have just landed on the ground today, but actually you're already thinking about where you're going tomorrow. And there was a great suggestion from Bjorn about actually taking the church out on a monthly or whatever basis and going somewhere new to pray out, seek that person of peace, pray out the plan of God into the next place, and actually getting there. And actually, no, there's one more quote. If you want to multiply, keep it simple and cheap. Was that all right today?
Yes.
Keep it simple, keep it cheap. And then the final thing I'll just add is make it really fun. And because this is one thing I've learned is it's very difficult to stop human beings reproducing because it's a lot of fun doing it. I know that's a bit controversial, but actually make it fun. Make it, celebrate it. So it's just what everyone wants to do because it's so fun and there's so much joy in it, because the mission of Jesus is advancing. So make it fun too.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. So on our table, we came up with some of the things you have already spoken about, but we were looking at, in order to multiply, you have to grow like Jesus. And Pastor Yomi was talking about, and the child grew, and the growing doesn't stop. So as pastors or leaders, your growing never stops. And in order for you to become like Jesus, you have to be able to engage with everything related to Jesus in prayer and in reading the Bible. So for that, we obviously talked about the importance of teams, because I am a team person, and I'm sure many of us here are team persons. I don't believe I can do anything alone. Jesus never operated alone. In fact, we talked about the fact that how many people did Jesus convert being on his own? Not really. He needed the team. But then when he left, he had already handed over the baton. We were talking about the importance of bringing up people. In order to multiply, you have got to be able to let go. And that's one of our issues in our church. We have great problems in letting go. I'm not quite sure why, because it's a joy to see somebody that you have mentored grow. So I could take myself for an example, because Pastor Yomi mentored me for 6 months. Not that I remember a great deal about it, because I was terrified in the early days, but he has seen me grow, and now I'm a church leader and I teach all sorts. But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that when you allow yourself and give yourself to Jesus, he will grow you. But the point of the matter is you're working in teams. So the DCPI concept is teams, multiplication, and this is what we should be doing. But our focus really was envisaging the young. We really focused on the young, because we're talking about children 3, 4. When you have them going into the Olympics, they're trained at an early age. So for the future leaders, we need to train them early, which is what was mentioned on our team. And we're finding that in churches, we don't really invest in the youth. They're sidelined. You know, they're taught by a pastor. The only time our children are ever given a platform is Children's Day. That's when we really see the beauty of the fruit. But on that matter we were talking about, it's not just seeing the fruit. You've got to continue watering that plant. You've got to continue investing, because you don't want anybody to fall away from the faith. So our point here, which was brought up by Alan, was this thing coming from America called Quest. It's Quest. I've not heard of it. That's right, Quest. And this is a whole program about taking children from the age of 8 to 16 and developing them to become the future leaders, because we're not all going to be around here forever, and we need to be able to raise the next generation so that we can hand over the baton. And if you think of a 4x4 relay, they hand over the baton to the next sprinter, so that that momentum is being maintained, and we need to be able to maintain the momentum of this movement of the DCPI or our churches, so that we are continuing to expand the kingdom of God. And so what we were really talking about as well was laying a real good foundation. You need to have a really, really good foundation within your individuals and with your corporate body. And within that, the body of your assembly, if you like, needs to understand your vision. I am one person who is really keen on making sure that everybody is flowing with you. If you've got stragglers, what's happening to them? How do you know they're growing? And that's when you're talking about multiplication, we're talking about discipleship here. Being able to raise people up to that level of where they have the confidence to be able to say, I'm ready. But what we were also talking about was, how long are you going to wait to think, just as you were saying, letting going. You're the best pastor, you're the best preacher. But what about that person there? How do you know what's in them? God has put talent in every single person in your congregation. But what are you doing with that? How do you know what their talent is? Luckily, Pastor Yomi's been gifted with the ability to see what people are capable of doing, and therefore he'll tap into that and put people in place. And that's one thing I like about our church. We have people in place, and they have teams. And those people who are in places are responsible for bringing those people up, therefore equipping them and being able to say, this is what you should be doing, if you like, and being able to have that time of a one-to-one. So it's really, we're looking at transitioning into the future. It's not just about now, it's what's going to happen in the future. And that's where we're at, really. And so this thing that we were talking about also was Don't be ashamed if you make a mistake, because sometimes mistakes open doors for opportunities that you might not even consider. And the other thing I'm really keen on is, no matter what challenge you're facing, do not quit, because Jesus never quit on you. Because, you know, I'm in a situation in our church where I try and encourage people to get involved in what we do. And it's really difficult, because a lot of them just want to come to church, hear the message, and go. It's this, how do you get people to understand you've got a responsibility over your head, you've got a mandate over your head? It's not just about saying, I'm a Christian, and I'll just come to church and sit and listen. That isn't it. It's your whole lifestyle. So it's trying to get people in your congregation to understand this is your lifestyle, and you're supposed to be preaching the gospel, you know, getting involved in the work of the kingdom to expand the kingdom, so that you are helping to save lives. That's the bottom line. And so it's like, you have to, as we're talking about being intentional, you've got to be able to create opportunities. And the way I'm sidelining a bit, but I just say, God, if I get fed up, create an opportunity where I can do what you want me to do. Because I'm the vessel. It's not about me, it's about you. But one of the things I'm going to take away from our table is this quest. Because I'm a firm believer we need to really invest in our children. And I think that, I love what Alan is looking at, trying to get, youngsters to be ushers, to be, on the pulpit giving a message. I mean, we've got a 13-year-old in our church. When we had Children's Day, he blew all of us away. I mean, it was a bit in your face because he's like this. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit scary. He was scary, and you could feel the wrath of God over you. And now he's being mentored by Pastor Yomi, because he's the future. So this is what's come out of our table, really, is investing in the youngsters. So thanks very much.
So good. Come on. So you've got it on paper. Could you send me the paper as a mail? No. I take it on photo. I take it on photo. No. I don't have the. Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for the sharing. I think it's rich to hear this. So I was really thrilled on my table, and also to listen to your results. We have our lunch break. We're exactly on the minute. There's my German side just rejoicing. Yeah, so it's just incredible. Yeah, we said 12:30. It's 12:30. Yeah, is it good? So you want to give some introduction? What is the introduction for lunch?
So we were just talking about it. Okay, so lunch is served. I think there's new tea and coffee, yeah. So just help yourself. It's all over there, sandwiches, wraps, etc. We're just keeping, I will give grace. I will pray, as Allah says, I will pray. Yeah, Father, we just thank you for this time together, Lord. Father, I thank you. It is so good to be envisioned and to be fired up and to just think about multiplication, Lord. And Father, as we just spend time together right now, Lord, I pray for good conversation, good ideas, Lord, good networking as we talk amongst one another. And we just thank you for this food. We thank you that it's blessed, that it's good for us. And Father, I just thank you that we are people who live in health. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Freezing.